So Harley Benton here has been sitting around for a week, and we're going to check the tuning. The E is on, the B is on, the G is sharp by a hair. The D is right on, the A is flat by a bit, and the E is on. A couple of the intonations are off, but they're really close. They're really close. So that's pretty good. Kind of surprised. This guitar sits flat on the high E tuning key. Alright, so I have decided to, oh yes, I bought a new tuner as well. Oh, thumbing the picture. I get that in there. I had to move the camera. I bought a new tuner, Amazon Basics. Does metronome, bunch of frequencies and things that I'm not sure I'm ever going to use, but it's new, and I moved Corgi to the other bench because it was kind of giving me an acting up, and it might have been the batteries. I changed them again. But I figured, I deserve something else new besides just guitar. Okay, so I am going to check the frets on the fretboard. I'm going to have to cut all these strings off. I'm going to leave that right where it is because it's really close. I think I'm going to put 9/5s on it. I just got a brand new box of 9/5s. So that's probably going to change the pressure on the springs a tiny little bit. Turn that off. And I'll just have to go through that whole setup again, making sure that that bridge sits flat like it is now. But it should be a lot less of a challenge job now that I've been through it, and it's really, really close to where it's supposed to be. So that's where I'm going, and I'm not going to tape all of this cutting of strings and checking of frets again. I mean, that's all kind of you know, mundane stuff that we've done before, and it's really of no added value in my opinion. I'll get back. Alright, still being a novice at this, taking off strings for the first time, I made my first mistake. I should have loosened the strings first, opened up these nuts at the end to be able to get these parts out. Because once I cut the strings off, I got little pieces. Look what happened. The bridge sunk into the body like that. And now I'm going to have to employ the 2-bike mic tool to get that up there. Because if I move the screws, can't see that. Because if I move these screws, I'm going to have all kinds of trouble. I won't be as close as I was before. So we're going to try to employ that. And it's going to be really tight against those springs. Anyway, shit happens. And I'll remember not to do that again. I had a better idea. I just plopped the springs off of the claw. Still not ideal, but that's what it is. I also found that I had this little tool set that has the right bits in this, so I don't have to play with the Allen keys. They say open that up just enough to get the strings out so that you don't lose that compression block. And can we actually get the strings out? That one's so small I can hardly see it. Boom, they're coming out. They're coming out. Now while I'm working on that, I'm just going to give them a little touch up because I don't want the blocks coming out. There's these little black blocks in there. They're replaceable, you can buy them. This block is not that heavy from a physical size perspective, but the whole bridge itself has quite some weight to it. Surprising. It's got a floydrose.com on this, and a number 32, which I'm not sure what number 32 means, and a big FR logo. And on the side of it, it says Harley Benton by Floyd Rose. Okay, so I don't need any of that for now. Back to the neck. Tools away. So now it's getting the neck off. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Here's the rub, pun intended. Even though I only found 6 frets with unleveled portions of them, there is evidence on the fretboard that they tried to do leveling, because I see many of the frets, the tops are still flat. They didn't finish crowning them. So some of the areas that I found that need touch-up were areas they've gone over, like here, it's flat. I have to fix this piece of fret right there, and here, and there, and they're flat. Number 4 has a little bit of signs of flatness on it, but it is the highest fret on the entire fretboard. So I'll have to fix those ones, and then I'm going to have to do a full finish of the crowning. Oh yeah, gang, Harley Benton went all the way. I'm wearing the surface right off of this 220. Okay, I think the first pass with 220 is good. I've got them all domed up a little bit there, and now we're just going to finesse them with the 320, 400, 600, 800, I hurt my finger, 1500, 2000, and steel wool. And then we should be good. So I started doing each one of the frets that I thought would be easy to get to, and then by the time you fix one, then the adjacents show up, and then I'm thinking, oh, you know, you're just chasing it after that. It's kind of like tuning this Floyd Rose. You end up chasing the tuning. So I ended up getting my 220 out on my speed square, which I use as my flat surface, and I run it along the fretboard. And so I did cut them down a little bit with the file to start with, and then I painted them up with the Sharpie, and then I was able to get them down to where they were before, and all the ones that they left flat-headed, they're domed now. So we're going to do some 320 and continue getting them smoother and smoother until we finally hit the top. We're getting close, peoples. And just taking off the final rough edges while the oil is seeping in. So the fretboard is nearly completed. And then there'll be the body work. For another day downstairs. I'm going to use a little blue shop towel to suck up some of the excess on here right now. But this board is turning out to be nice and dark and shiny. I do not remember what kind of wood this is. I have to go to the website, I guess, to find out what they said the fretboard is. Could be that Perillia stuff. Ta-da! I feel like a doctor. Alright, so she's nice and clean and gleamy. And I polished the headstock with polishing compound. There's a tiny little hair scratch in the finish there, and I thought, well, I'll just use the polishing compound to minimize the effect. And I did, but I didn't get it all out, and I'm probably not ever going to be able to. So I'm not going to try, because it's not going to affect anything else. And we're going to make this B stock a B++ by the time we're done with it, I think. A B++. And there we go. Be back in the morning. Well, it's been 12 hours for me, but only seconds for you. So the fretboard is dried up with the lemon that I put on it last night. And I'm going to say it's ready. It's ready. I had to tighten up all the little screws anchoring down the tuning keys. A couple of the nuts were needing a little torque, but other than that, it's a go. So let's go take a look at the body. So with the neck off the body, the wood is quite a white colored wood. There is kind of a knot going through the wood there. There's also a cavity that goes right up underneath the pickup. On this one, there's no stop piece for it. There is a separation between the two cavities. That's the Floyd Rose anchor plate for the posts. As I mentioned, they have a black rubber pad there. There it is, black rubber pad for the back end, just kind of stuck there. I don't know if you can see it, but it overhangs. It overhangs a bit here in the back. There's my tool. There's the wire I have to replace to go into the cavity. So I have a new switch, and I'm going to replace these pots. This switch is going to be replaced by the blade type. The neck is the yellow wire, and therefore the bridge is the red. So once we know that, it's going to be a simple job. So I'm going to remove the electrics here, that as well, and clean up the body, and try to get it, you know, smears and little scratches and stuff. I'm going to try to get them off before I repopulate. Oh, look, the Simonized compound did an excellent job on the back. Just gorgeous. Now we're going to clean up the front. the removal stage. Had to do between the pickups by hand and along the edges. I have to tell you, it's looking pretty sweet. I have to tell you, it's looking pretty sweet. I got my dirty hands on the back. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. Looking pretty good. Squeaky clean, you can hear it? Squeaky clean. Squeaky clean. And now we're going to go with Simonized liquid wax. I did a test spot here, and it goes from squeaky clean to feeling like super clean glass. I'm just going to do that part by hand. So the electrics went well. Here's my bridge. Everything's in there. Got the claw wire in. Loose springs. I shouldn't have turned that over. I had it ready to start putting springs on here. Let's put that back in place. I just need those things up like that a little bit. Need to turn these out a little bit. I have a proper screwdriver for that. Don't make it difficult. So I'm going to go through all of this setup again, like I did originally in the first segment. I'm putting 9/5s on it, so there's going to be a little bit less pressure. So I'm going to have to balance the bridge a little bit to compensate for that. The neck went on really nice. I drilled out the hole so it didn't bite in the wood of the body. And yep, she's ready to go. So let's get this off, and I'll get back to you guys when I've got a little bit more of an advancement on getting back to putting it in tune. After much fiddling, it's finally in tune, and it has been sitting for a while, and it's still in tune, and the bridge is absolutely flat, like it's supposed to be, they say. And we get it in there? Yeah. So, and it will now go both ways. The back, I'm leaving my little tool in there, so I always know where it is. So it'll float both ways now. So now I just have to close up the cavities, cut the strings off the headstock up here, cut them off, make a loop, and she'll be good to go. I'm going to pass again over the top. Feels like glass now that I've done the wax after the compound. Dusty in my basement. Okay. Yeah, feels like wax now. Wax glass. Really good. Really good. So what I do is I cut my strings a little bit long, and then I make these little loops on the top. This avoids me getting picked, scratched, poked, and multitudes of other things that has happened to me in the past. Okay. She's in there. She's in there. Yay! Okay, here we are back at the amp. Get my mouse over here, and we can just take that off a tuner because it's in tune. So listen, after all the fiddly-diddly is done, with all this stuff and the locking up and everything. It holds pretty good. There's only one other thing now that you have to learn once you get one of these that you've never had it before, is that you cannot rest your hand on the bridge anymore, because this happens. So you don't need that. Basically, if you just want to go backwards, low pressure with the wrist. I couldn't figure out why my notes were not in tune, and I'm thinking, why is it not in tune? And I realized then, okay, I'm putting my wrist pressure on the bridge like I do with all the other guitars. So, gotta learn not to do that. Maybe that don't need the whammy bar at all. But it does work in both directions. Yeah. It, oh, and I'm liking the pickups more than I did when I first heard them when it wasn't in tune. It went, ugh, pretty bad. That's a technical term. Ugh. Okay. Alright, let's see if I can do this right. This works out pretty good for this song as well, besides the P90s that I use. So basically I'm pretty pleased with it. I do not love the amount of fiddling you have to go through to get this set up. It takes a long time, especially compared to regular guitars. Takes a long time. This is the end of the series on the Harley Benton S-620 TR. Catch you in the next one.